The rain drummed a somber rhythm on the black umbrellas clustered around the open grave, each drop echoing the hollow ache in my chest. I stood there, Emily Carter, clutching a wilted red rose like it was the last thread tying me to sanity. My husband, James, had been pronounced dead just 3 days ago, a sudden stroke. They said, quick and merciful. The small gathering of mourners murmured condolences, their faces blurred through my tears. Susan, James's mother, dabbed at her eyes with a silk scarf, her grief polished like everything else about her. Beside her, Michael, James's older brother, squeezed my arm a little too tightly. His whisper of "he's at peace now," Emily landing like lead in my gut. I nodded, words failing me, as the pastor's voice faded into the downpour. But deep down, something gnawed at me, the way James had changed in those final weeks. Jumpy, secretive, like a man staring down a barrel he couldn't name. As the crowd thinned, escaping the chill, Susan and Michael lingered, their eyes darting between me and the coffin being lowered into the earth. We should head back, dear, Susan said, her voice syrupy with concern. But her fingers tapped impatiently on her purse. I shook my head, kneeling in the mud, placing the rose on the fresh soil. Just a moment alone. They exchanged a glance, those quick, loaded looks I'd caught more than once since the news broke, and retreated to their sleek black SUV. Alone at last. I traced James's name on the temporary marker. Memories flooding in, his easy laugh, the way he'd pull me close during thunderstorms, promising nothing could touch us. But lately, those promises had rung hollow. He'd been distant, locking himself in his study, muttering about numbers that don't add up at his financial consulting firm. My phone vibrated in my pocket, a rude intrusion on my grief. I almost ignored it. But curiosity won. The screen lit up with an unknown number. I'm not dead. That coffin is empty. My breath caught, the world tilting. This had to be a prank. Some monster toying with a widow's pain. I scanned the empty cemetery, heart racing. Another message, Emily. It's me, James. Don't trust my family. Meet me tonight at the old lighthouse by Echo Bay. Come alone. Echo Bay, where we'd stolen our first kiss 10 years ago. Hidden from the world during those early, secretive days of dating. Only James knew that spot's significance. But I'd seen his body at the morgue. Pale and still. This couldn't be real. One more text sealed the dread. Check the hidden compartment in my leather briefcase. The one in our home office. I left proof only you'd understand. My hands shook as I stood, glancing at Susan and Michael's SUV, their silhouettes arguing inside. If this was a lie, it was cruel beyond measure. If not, everything I'd believed about James's death crumbled. 3 weeks earlier, the cracks had started showing. James, my rock, always calm, methodical as he crunched numbers for high-end clients at Vanguard Financial, had transformed into a ghost of himself. It began with the late-night calls. We'd be at dinner, sharing stories about my day at the community library. When his phone would buzz, his face would harden, and he'd step away, voice low and urgent. "Who is that?" I'd ask, forcing a smile. "Just a client issue," he'd mutter, avoiding my eyes, his fork trembling slightly as he pushed food around his plate. But I saw the fear etching lines into his forehead, the way he'd glance at windows like expecting shadows to move. Then came the paranoia, slow and insidious. James, who'd laugh off my worries about home security, suddenly installed motion sensor lights and a high-tech alarm system. "Better safe than sorry," he'd say, but his voice cracked. Walks in our quiet suburban neighborhood turned into tense scans of every passing car. "James, Talk to me, I pleaded one night as he double-checked the locks. You're acting like we're in danger. He paused, eyes haunted. It's nothing. Work stress. Some accounts are off, but it was more. I felt it in the cold space between us in bed, where he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The long hours escalated next. James, home by 7 sharp for years, started vanishing until midnight. His assistant would claim meetings, but when he dragged himself in, he looked defeated. Shadows under his eyes like bruises. Special audit, he'd explain, collapsing into a chair. Boring stuff. Yet he'd never hidden work before, always sharing office gossip. Client quirks. Now, secrets built walls between us. One sleepless night, I found him in his office, poring over spreadsheets under a desk lamp. Before he slammed his laptop shut, I glimpsed red flag transactions. Massive sums funneled through obscure entities. Not standard consulting work. Something darker. The climax hit 5 days before his death. James burst through our door, face ashen, grabbing my hands. Emily, if anything happens to me, promise you won't trust my family. Susan and Michael, they're not what they seem. My pulse thundered. What are you talking about? He glanced around, whispering. I've uncovered fraud at the firm. Embezzlement tied to dangerous people. They won't let it go public. Then call the cops, I urged, panic rising. He shook his head. It's bigger than that. Corruption runs deep. Trust no one but me. I pulled him close, his body rigid with terror. Nothing will happen. We'll face it together. But his eyes held goodbye. Promise me. I did, though the vow tasted like ash. Back in our empty house after the funeral, I beelined for James's briefcase in the office. The hidden compartment, our little secret for stashing love notes early in marriage, yielded a folded paper. In his scrawl, that melody you whistle when anxious. The one from our wedding dance. You did it this morning over breakfast. Right before I left. My knees buckled. I'd whistled Fly Me to the Moon that very day, hours before the call about his stroke. How could a dead man know? Unless he wasn't dead. The next day, I visited Dr. Ellis, the coroner who'd signed off on James. His office smelled of antiseptic and evasion. He fidgeted. Papers rustling. Mrs. Carter. The stroke was massive. No suffering. But James was 38. Fit from weekend hikes. Time of death. I pressed. Around 4:15 p.m. And the body? Where was it found? He paled. At the office. Your brother-in-law Michael discovered him. But Michael had claimed Susan told him over the phone. Lies stacking like cards. At Vanguard Financial. The receptionist, Carla, frowned. James left early that day. Said he felt off. Michael showed up later. Furious he'd missed him. More contradictions. James hadn't died at work. Where were those lost hours? Digging deeper in his office drawers, I found bank statements, $20,000 siphoned in covert withdrawals, ATMs scattered across town, and a folder of incriminating docs, offshore transfers, laundered funds through Vanguard. James had stumbled onto a criminal web. Susan called that night, voice laced with false warmth. Emily, we're concerned. All these questions. Maybe see a therapist? I'm fine, I snapped. Just seeking truth. Her tone hardened. Some truths bury you. Let James rest. Her push to move on felt sinister now, especially eyeing the $600,000 life insurance policy. As next of kin if I vanished, they'd claim it all. Confrontation brewed the following morning at Susan's pristine colonial home. They sat at the dining table, shuffling papers, insurance forms. I glimpsed. Why the secret withdrawals? I demanded, slamming statements down. Silence. Michael's jaw tightened. James had his secrets. And the lies about his death? He left work early. Susan blanched. You're digging graves. Emily. Rage boiled. I know about the laundering. James found out. Didn't he? Threatened to expose you. Michael's mask cracked. You have no idea the debts we carried. Loan sharks breathing down our necks. Susan sobbed. We had to survive. James was going to destroy us. So you faked his death, I whispered. Dr. Ellis, indebted from his own vices, helped forge it. But now, with James alive, they planned the real kill for the payout. I fled, terror fueling me. That night, another text, Echo Bay Lighthouse. Midnight. Alone. Proof followed, your tattoo on your ankle, the infinity loop from our honeymoon. You said it meant forever. Even if I saw your flaws. Only James knew. I went. Heart in throat. Parking far and trekking through fog-shrouded dunes. The lighthouse loomed. Waves crashing like accusations. Emily. His voice shattered me. James emerged. Gaunt. Bandaged. Alive. We clung. Sobs mingling. They tried to kill me for real, he confessed. Overheard their plot. Escaped barely. The syndicate was vast, cops on payroll. Judges bought. James's colleague, David, had warned him. Smuggling evidence, falsified deaths, murders masked as accidents. We hid in a derelict cabin. Piecing horrors, Michael accessory to witness killings. Susan complicit in silence. Betrayal cut deepest, family turning on blood for greed. But revenge simmered. David arrived with files. Recordings of their murder plot against us. FBI's our shot, he urged. Chaos erupted, headlights pierced the night. Michael and goons stormed in. Guns drawn. No loose ends, he snarled. Susan wailed regret. But too late. David fired a hidden taser. Buying time. We bolted into woods. Gunshots echoing. I clutched the flash drive, vowing payback for every lie, every scar. At the FBI safe house, Agent Ramirez pored over evidence. By morning, raids hit, Michael cuffed, Susan breaking, Dr. Ellis spilling, the syndicate crumbling. James and I entered protection, new names, new town. But the cost? Trust shattered forever. Silence of old wounds echoing. Revenge tasted bitter. A Pyrrhic victory paid in lost innocence. Yet in each other's arms, we rebuilt. One scarred breath at a time.